Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blob, where I shake my brain nipples every day in order to get some of that dirty YouTube money so I can afford to provide you folks hands-on, in-person technology education that empowers you to do what you want to do in Durham, North Carolina. Silicon Dojo, silicondojo.com. We have a class coming up on AI and web scraping coming up next week. We have a class on extending AI capabilities using REST API calls coming up a few weeks after that. We have more classes coming down the pike. If you're interested, take a look at silicondojo.com to see what the current schedule is. If you want to help support the project, do remember free to end user is not free. That's why I'm shaking my nips every day. If you want to help support the project, you can put a tip. You can put a tip into my virtual G-string, clicking on that donor box link down below. So I'll dance a little bit more geek sexy for you. So good news, exciting news. Humanoid robots are, in fact, being deployed to factories in the United States to do something. Humanoid robots are going to be manufactured. They're going to be sold to Foxconn. Foxconn is going to put them in a factory in Texas. And yeah. The future is here. The future is here. Invest in NVIDIA now. I think this is kind of interesting, and this is the horse crappery we are seeing around this whole AI fraud that is going on, where a lot of these companies put out these big-ass statements, and then when you just read the statement, like you literally just don't read between the lines, you just read the statement itself. You're like, hey, that actually doesn't sound nearly as impressive as it first sounds. Like Foxconn, right, deploying humanoid robots to an AI factory. Oh my golly, I gotta buy some more NVIDIA shares now. And you're like, yeah, but what are what are they going to do in that factory? Oh, we don't want to talk about that. That's a trade secret. That's a trade secret. Oh, so you're just pumping the AI bubble. That's what's going on here. So I do think this is interesting. I mean, this is foreshadowing. To be clear, as snarky as I will be about this particular article, it is foreshadowing. Again, 5 years from now, these damn things will probably have some kind of value. I do question what their actual value is now. And that's one of the things that you do have to be concerned about with this whole AI, again, the whole AI arms race. Right, I've talked about this before, right? Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, literally stated they have GPUs that they've purchased that are sitting on the shelves because they do not have the physical ability to deploy them. I really want you to think about that for a second. CEO of Microsoft, and literally said they have enough GPUs on the shelf to actually make that statement worthwhile, right? I mean, this is Microsoft. Microsoft is a multi-trillion-dollar company, even though these GPUs cost $40,000 a piece, right? If they had 10 on the shelves, I don't think he'd say anything about it. If they had 100 on the shelves, maybe he would say something about it. But really, to get to the level that a CEO is going to make a statement, like especially a statement like that, you got to think, they have a shit ton. And again, a multi-trillion-dollar company's definition of shit ton of these GPUs sitting on the shelf, right? And that makes you a little bit concerned about what's actually going on, right? NVIDIA is selling GPUs to tech companies that do not have the capability to put them into production. Does that make you feel comfortable? I talked about yesterday. There's two data centers in the Silicon Valley, Santa Clara, fully built out, like 440,000 square feet. Big fucking data centers, right? Complete. They are not connected to the electricity grid. They don't know when they will get connected to the electricity grid. It might be 2 years before they're even connected to the electricity grid, right? They talked about, in that particular article, Northern Virginia, right? Hub of data centers, right? 2 to 5 year wait times to get data centers connected to the electric grid. So all we hear is that AI is going to take over the world, right? Sam Altman is doing $4 trillion in CapEx expenses for AI, and yet GPUs are basically being purchased in order to collect dust, and data centers are being completely finished without being able to connect to the electricity grid for years. And that's where I say with all of this kind of thing, like, yeah, I mean, what else? What else do I have to say here? And so the interesting thing, the next thing was with the humanoid robots, right? So that's a big thing, especially with Elon Musk. So Elon Musk just got a $1 trillion pay package, right? If he can hit a number of metrics. One of the metrics is hitting Tesla hitting a $8.5 trillion valuation. Then he gets $1 trillion in stock. One of the big things is, right, the car company is foundering. The car company is foundering regardless of how you say it. He doesn't even call it a car company, right? Tesla is not a car company, it's not an energy company, it's now an AI and robots company. And so one of the big pushes right now is these damn Optimus robots, right? The idea, and he literally came out and said, everybody is going to own an Optimus robot. Like, it's fucking dumb. That doesn't fucking make a goddamn bit of sense. Why would everybody? So I'm gonna own a robot and my wife is gonna own a robot in the exact same house? Like, just structurally, beyond anything else, right? Even if these fuckers were free, even if they were fucking free, I wouldn't want two of these damn things in the house. Maybe one, right? More likely, it would be like a service, like the robot lawnmower comes, and the robot house cleaner comes, and the robot whatever, right? Again, hospitals, maybe that makes sense. But the idea that everybody is going to have a robot is, as I say, is just ridiculous on the face. Nobody fucking wants that. It's like VR. Nobody fucking wants it. It looks really good. It looks good in the movies. But even the movies, right? Fantastic Four just came out. It's all futuristic. How many robots did that entire fucking family have? One. So again, it kind of like, even in the movies, like, really, 5 people only need 1 robot. You don't need 5 robots running around. So anyways, one of the big things that we're seeing more and more of is basically that they're putting out all these proclamations that sounds good about the AI revolution, but when you just start looking at the very fundamental brass tacks, then we can already see that the whole storyline is fraying around the edges. But what happens? What happens when the storyline is fraying around the edges? But all these companies need to keep pumping that goddamn bubble, right? NVIDIA needs it, Microsoft needs it, OpenAI needs it, Foxconn needs it, right? They're in this incestuous fucking goat screw, and nobody can pull the fuck out, because if any one person does, they're all gonna see they're in an incestuous goat screw, and nobody's going to be proud of that particular event. So anyways, that's what we have going on right now with Foxconn. Foxconn hires, and you'll notice the words that they use, right, to try to make this more normalized. They hire. That's a big thing I talk about. I'm back from the military days. The whole idea of how to kill people, right? You destroy tanks, you down aircraft, you sink ships. You don't slaughter 1,000 seamen on a ship, right? Because if you're sitting there and you're chucking a missile at a ship, and you realize that missile, when it hits a ship, is going to kill 1,000 people that look a hell of a lot like you, the brain has a hard time dealing with that. So you don't think, I'm sending a missile to kill, to slaughter 1,000 on the other side. You say, I'm sending a missile to sink that ship, right? And that's why we come up with all these very racist words for other people. I will not say, because I do not want my channel canceled today, because you're not killing a human, you are killing a fill in the blank that will get me canceled off of YouTube, right? That's one of the things with the power of words. One of the things we've seen with the woke, right? With the woke and with the anti-woke. The things between homeless and unhoused. When I say homeless, what is your view of that? When I say unhoused, what is your view of that? When I say an illegal immigrant, what is your view of an illegal immigrant versus an undocumented migrant? Right? Exact same motherfucker. It's just the label you plaster on that concept changes the mindset, right? So instead of Foxconn buying robots, because that's what Foxconn is doing, right? They're hiring humanoid robots. You have to respect the robot because they're human too, I guess. I don't know. How long till they get votes? Foxconn hires humanoid robots to make servers at NVIDIA's Texas factory. So yes, this is Trump bringing manufacturing back to the United States. You know, even if it's robots doing the manufacturing. Taiwanese contract manufacturer Foxconn has confirmed it will use humanoid robots to make NVIDIA servers in America. Foxconn CEO and Chairman Young Liu yesterday told Japanese outlet Nikkei the company will deploy the bots, quote, within the 6 months or so. So this is quick, and that they will help to speed production. The company made a passing reference to the bots last week in a press release that said Foxconn is working with NVIDIA, quote, to build a next-generation smart manufacturing plant for AI servers that will be among the first to deploy humanoid robots powered by the NVIDIA Isaac GR00T-in model on its production lines. Liu didn't say how many bots Foxconn will put to work, didn't describe the machines and their capabilities, didn't say what roles they will take on, or whether they would obviate the need for human workers. Nor did he explain why humanoid robots are a good fit for NVIDIA's factory. You're focused on the wrong thing. This is the problem with ASPIs. This is the problem with ASPIs. You're all like, but what will the robot do? But how will the robot provide value? But what is the ROI on robot? Fucking ASPI. This is why everybody hates you, asking those types of questions. The important thing is that we're hiring robots for our factory. So anyways, it'll be curious to see basically, how this goes at the end of the day. Are they fast enough? Are they effective enough? Are they actually doing work that you actually need a humanoid robot? One of my questions is also like, why humanoid robots? This is one of the big questions that have been coming up lately. Is there's this kind of like idea that the humanoid design is actually a good design. It's not. Spoiler alert. Humans are a kind of shit design when you really look at them. So one of the questions is just like, why this hyper focus on humanoid designs, right? I mean, think about it. Like you're a robot that you've probably had in your house for decades at this point in time is the washing machine. Right? Do you want to have a humanoid robot washing your dishes, or do you want a fucking washing machine? Right? The washing machine does a darn fine job, and you don't need a humanoid robot in order to do that. And so that's been one of the big questions. Is not necessarily, again, the automation or the robotization of factories, but why the humanoid robots? The other thing too, in looking at these things, is just the speed, right? I've been watching videos of the Optimus robots, and honestly, I'm not that snarky about the Optimus robot. I mean, I'm snarky about the idea that everybody wants one of these fuckers, but like the equipment itself, fine, whatever. I mean, if it works, it works. But one of the things I've been surprised about with the Optimus robots is, fuck me, they're slow. Like, seriously, have you seen videos of the robot? Like, they seem pretty slow. They seem pretty slow. And so then the question is, just from a practical standpoint, is what capacity could you put them into? So even if they're slow, let's say they're slow, but they work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Right, their overall capacity, right? If they are half the speed, but they put out 3x their productivity during the day, during a 24-hour day. So let's say a human is faster during 8 hours, but the robot puts out more over 24 hours, right? That might be a benefit there. But I think that's one of the curious things with a lot of this stuff is you just start looking at it, and the big question is. Like again, seriously, like what are these things actually going to be doing? What is the productivity gain you're getting from a lot of these things? And I think that's a big question mark there. So I think this is interesting. I mean, it's from a technological standpoint, from a technocracy standpoint, it's a good thing, right? Robots are being deployed into factories, and so they can start doing the testing. They can start doing the testing. They can start figuring out where these things actually fit into the process. They can figure out speeds. They can start creating documentation and all of that kind of stuff. I would just argue in 2025, I think the results are probably going to be pretty fucking lackluster. I have a feeling we might be asking in 2026 what exactly these robots are doing, and we're still going to be told they're working in the factory, and that's about it. So it'll be interesting to see where all this goes. And especially one of the interesting things to be thinking about is just where this goes as our economy falls apart. So I think about this with my father. So my father is a PhD industrial safety engineer. When I was a kid, my father had the coolest job in the world, right? Your father was some fucking Green Beret Halo specialist. Fuck you. You know what my father did? My father figured out why robots killed people. Like, I shit you not. Oh, Lordy. Oh, as a young kid, dinner table conversation of how this particular robot dismembered the security guard last week. Anyways, right? Seriously, that's what he did. That's what he did for, I don't know, a decade and a half before he went off to farm equipment. Actually, you want to know what fucked up? You want to know how fucked up the world really is? One of the last projects he had to work on before he retired was trying to figure out if there was a human being in trash compactors. This is how fucked up the world really is. So anyways, there is a real problem. There is a big enough problem. This is an engineering concern, where apparently homeless people and others, right? If you go to like malls or large, retail facilities or whatever, they have these big trash compactors that are basically the size of a semi-trailer. Like they're fucking huge. They're like 40, 50 feet long, right? And so basically you throw a whole bunch of shit in there and then you compact the shit and you keep doing that until it takes it away. Yeah, well, apparently some homeless people are like, wow, that'll keep the rain and snow off of me. And so there was an actual problem of homeless people crawling into these trash compactors. And then some poor 16-year-old in the morning going, oh, we need to compact the trash, fucking slamming the button. And well, you reduced your homeless population. So yeah, literally one of the last things he was trying to figure out how to do is how to create sensors in these massive trash compactors to determine if a human being is taking a nap inside. Fuck me. But anyways, interesting, right? So the 1980s. So when I was growing up, it was all about robots, right? And that's one of the reasons I'm an Armatron back here. And again, in my family, it wasn't robots because of Lost in Space. It wasn't robots because of what you see in sci-fi movies. It was robots because my father was literally working with robots every single day, literally, again, figuring out why they fucking kill people. And they killed a lot of people. Anyways, and so one of the curious things is, I was talking with a CEO about this back in the early 2000s about why robots hadn't come further, right? As far as robots had come by the 1980s, frankly, by the 2000s, they should have been a lot further than they were. If you really look at robot progression, the reality is we should be 10 years past where we are. And this is one of the things I talk about with technological development and how things don't go how we think they're gonna go. And I was talking to a technology CEO about this, and I was like, yeah, I really don't understand, right? My father was dealing with these advanced systems back in the 1980s. If you simply do iterative improvements on the systems he was working back in the 1980s, we should have a lot better systems than we do today. And the curious thing is, he came out and he talked about it. It's like, yeah, but China people are a hell of a lot cheaper than robots. And I was like, what? Because think about this, right? China came in the WTO in about 2000, plus they started doing things before then. And basically, the idea is a robot, almost any robot, especially back in that time period, is going to cost at least $100,000. Right? It's going to be at least $100,000, maybe $1 million, depending on full system. You're talking about a lot of money, right? But, right, if you go back to 2000, one of the things is if you go out there and you create a factory and you have China people in the factory, you can pay them like $5 a day. Right? So $25 a week, let's say $100 a month. How long does it take for $100 a month to equal the $100,000 cost of a robot? And what they found out was it was a hell of a lot cheaper to hire a Chinaman in factories to build shit than it was to use all of these advanced robots. And it slowed down the progression of the development of robots. Like literally, the inexpense of Chinese factory workers literally affected the development of robots for about a decade or so. Now robots are on the upswing again. I do think one of the interesting things to be thinking about with this is as we look at our economy and as our economy is falling apart, right? It's falling apart, as I've thought about before, since the Great Recession. We never recovered from the Great Recession. We just putting a hell of a lot of duct tape and chewing gum on this mess. And so one of the interesting things to be thinking about is as they start selling these robots, as they start deploying these robots, I do think there is going to become a real question about, are the robots cheaper than people? Like, when you look at what a person can do, and when you look at what a robot can do, and you look at the overall expense of the robot, and you look at a whole bunch of other things, how viable are humanoid robots going to be within society, right? As people lose work, as people become homeless, as the economy crumbles, will there be a societal stomach to see these robots being deployed into jobs that humans could take? And so whether it's from a financial benefit, that maybe American workers become cheaper than robots at a certain point, or whether it becomes from a political standpoint, where if you have robots running your factory, you get your entire fucking factory burned to the goddamn ground, right? Americans have done that shit in the past, right? I'm curious to see where all of this actually goes at the end of the day. And it's one of those things too to be thinking about, just if you're in the business world and you're a decision maker, is it wise to have humanoid robots? Right? How many employees are going to protest a washing machine, a dishwasher? How many employees are going to protest, automatic lighting? Right? How many employees are going to protest surveillance cameras? Maybe, but you get my point there, right? There are automated systems, physical systems that you can put into place that, although they reduce the need for human labor, they increase efficiency and all that kind of thing, human beings don't see it as direct competition, right? Whereas if you have a humanoid robot, right? So if you put up a lot of surveillance cameras, you can create an automated surveillance system to do most of the stuff that you need to do. And most humans, most employees are not gonna bristle about that because it's taking their jobs or whatever. If you create a humanoid robot, you essentially put it in a uniform and you have it start walking around a facility, all of a sudden, mentally, we say that is taking a security guard's job. Right? We don't see the surveillance cameras taking a security guard's job. We see a humanoid robot taking a security guard's job. And as things continue in this particular, not just economic, but social cycle, one of the questions is, when you think about things like risk tolerance, like what does your risk mitigation strategy look like in regards to humanity, humans getting really pissed with what's going on, right? And how can you design systems and things in such a way that they're not seen as competition, right? Like you take a dog, or you take a bird. A bird is a perfect example, right? You have a bird and you put a mirror in front of a bird, and a lot of times the bird will just try to attack the fuck out of that mirror. And like, why the hell does the bird hate the mirror? The bird doesn't hate the mirror. The bird sees the reflection in the mirror. Bird doesn't understand that reflection is it. It literally thinks it's another bird trying to fuck with them. And so they're trying to attack the other bird. And then they see, as they attack the other bird, they see how hard the other bird is trying to attack them. And it turns into a shit show, right? Because it's psychologically, I see that as a threat, right? Whereas I may not see another thing as a threat. So yeah, I don't know. This will be a curious thing to consider as we start to see more and more humanoid robots. And again, as our tech overlords make it clear that they basically want to destroy humanity. One of the things I find fascinating with this particular tech cycle is how many of the masters of the universe, tech lords out there, basically are stating that they're trying to eliminate human work. They're trying to eliminate human work, and they're trying to eliminate all value you have in society. And then they have a smile on their face and wonder why everybody's pissed off. So I'll be curious. I'll be curious to see how this goes. So what do you think about this? What do you think about Foxconn hiring? Do you think that's a good word? Do you think it's wise to be using these words? Hiring humanoid robots for their server to make AI, for their factory to make AI servers. What do you think about the fact that they are going to be deployed in 6 months and you really don't need to ask anything else? What are they going to do? What value are they going to bring? Who the hell knows? Shut the fuck up. What do you think about all this? What do you think about, like, with humans? How long before the first robot-run factory is burned to the fucking ground in the United States? That's what they should do. They have all these betting sites nowadays. We should start putting a bet for how long until one of these factories gets fucking burned to the ground. Anyways, put your thoughts down below. If you like these videos, give us a thumbs up. If you hate these videos, give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing, call me a dumbass. Just be a real Lutnick and give us a good American comment down there with some thumbs. Strong American comments with thumbs, just like our cows do. Anyways, as you know, whatever. I do this for Silicon Dojo. Silicon Dojo, silicondojo.com. Free to use your hands-on technology education that empowers you to do what you want to do in Durham, North Carolina. We have a class coming up on web scraping next week. We have a class coming up on AI, or extending AI with REST APIs, coming up in a couple of weeks. If you're interested in those kinds of classes, they are in person in Durham, North Carolina. Take a look at our schedule at silicondojo.com. Do remember, free to the user is not free. That's why I shake my brain nips every day. If you'd like to help support the project, there's a donor box link down below. And with that, see y'all later.